Hello everyone, this is Gleb, and today I want to show an edge case with data and how it kind of prevents us from selecting an option from a select element. So imagine we have a select element and the options come from somewhere. We don't control them, so we cannot make sure that the values are super clean and don't have special characters. In particular, we want to select this value. And notice the value is present followed by double quote character. So if we just write the command, get me the select with ID my data, and we use the size select, and we say present followed by quote, well, it doesn't work. Notice it keeps trying and trying and trying. Finally, it says unrecognized expression option bracket value equals in quotes present quote and then end of it. Cypress is using probably concatenation or string literal right here to form the selector, and that double quote double quote messes things up. It creates something that is not a valid selector, so we cannot do this, unfortunately. So what can we do instead? To be able to select an option, it's pretty much just to set its attribute. So let's do it. Initially, the value is not set, right? So if we grab this select, my data should have value empty string. And now we can find option inside this select, and we can provide the value with just an attribute, value equals, and let's say empty, right? So the first one. Okay, so we found it. Okay, it's inside. And then we can invoke attribute selected with value selected string. Okay, so notice what happens. All of a sudden, it became selected. And we can confirm that this indeed is the new value of a select element, empty. Okay, so instead of empty, we want to grab this present with double quotes. So if we just put it right here, this is the problem, right? This is what's creating invalid selector. To handle all these special characters that might arise, like colons, right, for example, spaces, we can use a utility function. This utility function comes from, not surprisingly, jQuery. I think it's like escape selector. And now we can say present and double quote. And let's just log it so we can see it. Unfortunately, when you log it, it also kind of escapes it to be able to print it. So it's not much different right here. So fine, let's just use it. So right here, we're gonna use template literal, and we're gonna put the escaped value. Okay, and notice something actually did go through, right? Now the value is the present, right? The text is first column. And we can confirm that the value of a selected option was changed. So that's great. This is how you can handle this edge case. But there is one more point that you kind of skipped, one more step, and I'm going to show it in the next test. Let's run it and see if you can see it in this video. Notice that the element is disabled initially, and then it becomes enabled, and the value of option also is initially disabled. So the element is not necessarily there when you set the attribute. So if we try to do the same thing right here, and we do everything absolutely the same, notice that yes, it did change, right? But it changed much faster than what a normal user would be. We used a jQuery method to set the attribute, and this doesn't do any checks on the element. Can the user do that? So before we can do anything, we can say, well, the select should be enabled, and be visible. So that's the first part, right? The top level select has to be actionable. The user should be able to see it and actually interact with it. If it's just disabled, the user will not be able to do it. And not only that, before we invoke the attribute jQuery method, we also should say should be enabled. And I assume it's visible because the select is visible. Okay, so now everything goes as you expected. When the element becomes visible, then we go to find the option. When the option becomes enabled, then we set the attribute. Okay, so this is how you can deal with some of the edge cases in the selectors that you can use in Cypress. I'm gonna put a link to the recipe that shows the full source code in the description of this video.